All right, Shyla, you ready? We're going to count down.
All right.
3, 2, 1. Go.
Hey, love and badasses. It's Shala.
And Gabby.
How are you guys doing today?
Happy
Um,
Halloween.
or Merry Samhain, as it is over in my house.
Mary Samhain.
So today is about being bold and bold action.
Yes.
We don't know what that's like at all. That's
No?
why we're here talking to you guys dressed this way.
Shyla, tell me what you're dressed as.
I am, I guess, a life-giving nymph or fairy.
I love it. There's so much like natural texture in what you chose. You didn't just go like, I'm going to put a little flower on my face. You were all like, glitter fucking everywhere. Yes, love it.
Yep. And then this thing. Yep.
You look like you came out
Whatever
of,
that is.
reminds me of wind, but it also reminds me of like wood grain a little bit.
Yeah, I was going for wood, almost like roots or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't even my ears, they're gold. Can you see the shimmer? I was like, I'm not gonna be that makeup artist that does everything,
But
like does the face, forgets the ears, and forgets the neck. Like, nah.
Yeah.
All right, so being bold. Oh, all right. So I got a story for you guys. I was in a relationship, gasp, years ago, and things weren't going so well. Let's just say things were really not going well, and I had spiraled down into this deep depression. And anxiety and panic attacks. I was failing my classes. I was in college at the time. And I had also started my first business a year or two prior as a photographer. So as things spiraled worse and worse and worse, I pretty much just said, peace out. Fly to the other side of the world now and be a freelance photographer in Abu Dhabi. So that is what I did.
So how did you know that that was the right move right then?
Well, it got me closer to my family. So that was a big instigator, was just knowing that I could be there with family. And have that support. And it was also, I knew it was right because I knew I needed something drastic, and I'm a bold and drastic kind of woman. So even then, when I didn't know that that was in me, who ends a relationship and is like, all right, well, I'm moving out to the other side of the world.
But yeah, I you make a good point, because I have found myself in similar situations as well, where I've decided so strongly that I need something new that it almost feels like you're jumping into the deep end, right? And you go, you may not always know, right? Like I ask you, like, how do you know? And sometimes the answer is, I don't.
I didn't. I really didn't. Yeah. I just did it and was like, what will happen will happen. And it gets me out of this situation that I'm in. And that was the most important thing.
You sent me this image the other day of, was it Captain America? Like kicking through a door.
Kicking through a door, like, and he like broke open the wooden panel on the other side that's holding it in place. Like kicks it open, like, bam, bitches, I'm here.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like that for you too, in that, you just decided this isn't working. And rather than going like, let me take time and figure out which door, you were just like, boom, it will happen. That determination, that decision, I think created, so much possibility for you because it came from such a strong place.
Yeah, and my experience in Abu Dhabi was interesting. It was difficult at times, but as an artist, because that's why the biggest reason why I went there was I had a job opportunities as a freelance photographer. When I got there, though, if you can't tell from my outfit today, I am highly inspired by nature, just a little. And when I got there, there was none of the nature that I am inspired by. I was in the middle of a city. There was desert everywhere, but the desert was like outside the city. And even though I was right there on the Persian Gulf, I could not smell it for anything. There was just smell of concrete. It was like I was disconnected from nature itself is the way I felt. And in the middle of that, what ended up happening is that instead of being inspired to, get whatever picture I'm going to get, what ended up happening was I became technically so much, but my technical skills went up like 3 levels easy because they had to. There was no other choice. I couldn't rely on inspiration and creativity. I had to start relying on, researching and how can I technically make my pictures better, and also looking for the things within it that I could creatively, like maybe just like an ounce of something that I'm like, that is interesting enough. How can I make it like beautiful? And so when I came back from there and came to the States, man, my pictures now having creativity and technical skills were like crazy good.
So even though in envisioning it, it wasn't exactly what you had in mind, you still received from it the gift that could be applicable to you later on.
Yeah.
It's so valuable because I think oftentimes when people invest, and we've heard it even from our own clients and tribe, that people look for this guarantee, this linear thought of, okay, I'm going to put in this amount of time and I know exactly what I'm going to get out of it. And then therefore, then I can truly feel invested.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what you and I have both experienced is sometimes you have to not know fully so that you can be almost more ready, more sponge-like, and whatever comes your way, you will just, absorb it that much deeper.
Just take it.
Yeah. Because I think when you know full out, and that doesn't mean, we won't have sort of a framework to work with, but I think there's a beauty in the journey as well, right? Where whatever you end up getting out of it is going to be so applicable and it's going to hit you where you need it most. Tell me about the change of pace or environment. How did that affect you, even seasonally? How long were you there?
I was there like 4 months or so.
Okay.
4 or 5. I don't know. I can't remember. It was like 6 years ago.
Okay.
6 or 7. It's been a while. How did it affect me seasonally?
Yeah, like did you get a chance to experience, different seasons and that kind of stuff? Not really?
Not really. I mean, I did kind of, but I mean, it's the desert.
Yeah.
It's cold or it's hot. That's about it.
I just wonder if you miss, like, you and I had talked about how sometimes cyclically you're very in tune with what's going on, and I wonder if maybe you felt like you missed out on some of that because you were in a space that maybe didn't have some of that.
Yeah, I definitely felt it. Like, I remember we drove past this like palace or something, and they had planted so many of these like little poppies or something, all these flowers, but there was enough of them that I could smell pollen. It was the first time in months of being there, that I had actually smelled something of nature other than dirt. And it was like, and it wasn't even the good smell of pollen. It was just like, that like kind of dirty, mucky smell of pollen. Does that make any sense? Like it's
yeah.
okay. So it was that smell, but I was just like, oh my God, rolling down the window. I need to smell all of this. Hold on to this.
So, one of the things that we are going to encourage this next week is for people to step into their bold action. Doesn't mean that they necessarily move across, the world.
No.
If that's what you're inspired to do, then that's what you're inspired to do, right? Everything has value in this space. But I'm curious to know where else people can thrive and what next bold action they can take. I think, and I've been kind of alluding to this over the past couple of weeks, we always get stuck in the what we ought to do, what we're required to do. How would you guide somebody to determine what that next bold action would be? Like, what question would you ask them?
Oh. Well, first of all, you were talking about what we ought to do or what we should do. And I think another thing that we get caught up on is how is this going to happen? And I've recently realized the how isn't quite so important either. Like, if you just dive in, know that it'll work out.
Yeah.
So what would I guide them? Repeat the question. What would I guide them to?
Yeah, like what question do you think would be valuable in order for them to determine what that next bold step is? Like, what do they need to ask themselves, maybe?
How, it would be a two-parter. It would be one, how is playing small serving me?
Okay.
And two, how do I play big? And answer that specifically, not just like, oh, I would, I don't know, take a vacation this Christmas that isn't at home, or whatever that is, whatever your big bold step is. Make it something that is part of your everyday life. And specific. Get specific. Give yourself a specific deadline. I will sit down for 30 minutes and do this one thing, or I will get outside of my space for 30 minutes and do this one thing. And by this date, this will be what I will accomplish, whether that's I'm going to write 200 pages by Christmas. I'm going to dance, 5 public dances, just like whatever it is that is bold for you, something that scares you. So I guess that's really what it comes down to. What scares you?
Okay. And is measurable is what
is measurable. Yeah.
Yeah. So I know there was a period of time at my work where we were writing out goals, and they would say, you have to be specific, measurable, attainable, and something, I don't remember the R. And then the T is for having a timeline.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so as you're thinking about your life and what you would want to bring forth, and we call that creating, right? Like you and I call it creating all the time, but whatever you want to bring forth into your world, whether you personally, something that you'd want to see more of, what is that thing and what can you do and or not do? Because oftentimes we get what we have to do, and that feels like overwhelm because we may already have a lot on our plate and we go, I don't know where this would fit. Sometimes it's the things, letting go of the things that we choose to no longer do that give us the space to create anew.
Absolutely. I know my compass has been what scares me, and my clients, it has been, if they say that if they're honest, and I expect honesty from my clients, they say that actually really scares me. I say, good. Then that is the thing that you were supposed to be doing. When you feel that pit in your stomach and you're like, that's the signal. That's what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Because on the other side is just something amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that every decision that I've made like that has been life-changing.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, it's something as simple as, like, I remember there was And a lot of people know the story about how at one point I was like, okay, am I gonna like marry my now husband or am I gonna break up with him? Like it was that, and we got told that story that in San Diego, like those two comparisons of like when you're on that extreme, something big is going to happen, right? Like, do I want to go into health coaching full time and quit my job? Like, there's so many things like that where you may feel that, like you said, this pit, and you can really work with one of us, or you can work with your tribe to step into that space, and oftentimes people say, well, I don't want to commit to anyone right now. But I have had the experience of being able to kind of try it on. What happens if you try it on? The whole idea, you try that on a whole day, a whole week, and you live as if you're making that happen, you're already 2 or 3 steps closer than you ever were before, just in fear of, right?
So how can our tribe step into that fear, into that excitement, because they are both the same thing?
Yeah.
Fear and excitement are one and the same. They're just the polar opposites of one another.
And framed differently. Just like a challenge is the same thing as an opportunity. It's just a reframe, right? So I think...
how can our tribe do that from this point forward with us?
I think they can do that with us. Actually, one of the easiest ways to immediately take action on that is through hot seat coaching, because hot seat coaching is a way to deep dive in a space that's safe and in a space that's, non-judgmental. And not only that, but you're bringing us your entree to be grilled, right? Like if we were at a barbecue, you'd be bringing us what you want to have cooked. So you already know where you need to deep dive, and you're like, bam, I need to get this ripped open so that we can really kind of figure it all out. And we can take you just that one step closer. And then you come back and it's another half an hour of like deep dive. Okay, let's do it again.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say. I think to live boldly, you would not just do one hot seat coaching. You would commit yourself to maybe 2 months worth of hot seat coaching every single week. Where would you go in 2 weeks if you had 2 amazing coaches behind you, pushing you forward in a laser focused way? Like, man, I'm excited.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and you and I have both been in there before where we've had that 30 minutes that completely just changes your mindset, because bringing it forward is scary enough, but then bringing it forward in a group where you go, okay, we're going to sit with that emotion. In other words, nothing is invaluable here, right? Like anything that you bring us that is a fear, we're not going to reject your fear and say, that's nonsense. Like, let's start thinking a different way. We may actually have you deep dive right into what you fear in order to see that when you give it space, it evaporates. Or when you give it space, it's not as severe as you thought it was. Or when you give it space, it is as severe as you thought it was, and you're ready to do something about it. Whatever it is that you feel is so valuable, but we're in this space to help you get there.
Absolutely. And like you said, like we've both been on the receiving end of like a 30-minute coaching conversation. We're the clients, and easily a good number of them have just completely shifted how I started going through life.
Mm-hmm.
Like a complete 180. And it would blow my mind how in 30 minutes that would happen. It's like, how is that possible that only 30 minutes could radically shift my entire energy, my entire being, the way that I view one thing?
I look at it as kind of like an exercise. You were talking to me about the other day how you wanted to bring more consistency in movement and doing 20 or 30 minutes a day. And you said to me, your movement brings forth creativity, which then brings forth more movement. And it's this beautiful cycle that's happening. I view hot seat coaching very similarly. It's an exercise in you tuning in. It's the space that you allow yourself, the appointment that you make for yourself to go, this is what I do for me. And then that turns into something beautiful that you create for everybody else, something beautiful that you're creating for your world, and then you come back and you do it again.
Yeah. Thank you. I wanted you, before we get done here, to explain what your costume is.
I am David Bowie reincarnated as a cat, which I have like a very like 80s inspired wig, but I've decided that I think I like my hair a little bit better. But I have the lightning bolt from Aladdin Sane, one of his records. And then I thought there's nothing kind of more Halloween than a black cat. So I started with that. But then as I started with it, it started to kind of have this wood grainy feel. And I just kind of went with it. I added more autumn leaf colors to it and some little whiskers and a space suit, because nothing
You're a
says
space kitty
more than a space suit. So yeah, that's what I am right now. The other day, as you know, I went out dancing and I got a chance to be a death seer that was equally fun. I feel like we're both made for Halloween.
Yes, this is definitely our time.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, we love you, Tribe. We love you, loving badasses.
We'll be putting the information on how to contact us relating to hot seat coaching or any of the other opportunities we have coming up, as well as how to find us anywhere else that we are.
All right. Mwah.
Mwah. Take care.
Bye.